How does a grandmother end up being humiliated by her own grandson in front of her entire family? What does a woman do when the people she raised, the people she sacrificed everything for, treat her like she's invisible, like she's nothing? And how far can cruelty go before someone decides that enough is enough, that dignity matters more than keeping the peace? I'm standing in the corner of the grand ballroom at the Riverside Estate, wearing a plain black uniform with a white apron tied around my waist. My hands are shaking just a little as I pour water into crystal glasses. Nobody looks at me. Not one person. They're all too busy laughing, drinking champagne that costs more than most people's monthly mortgage payment, talking about stock portfolios and vacation homes and which luxury car they're going to buy next. The chandeliers overhead cast this golden light across everything, making the whole scene look like something out of a magazine spread about wealth and prosperity. But underneath all that shine, underneath all those designer clothes and expensive jewelry, there's something rotten. My name is Margaret Eleanor Whitmore. I'm 73 years old, and tonight, not a single person in this room knows who I really am. They're all waiting for me, actually, the real me. They're waiting for Margaret Whitmore, the family matriarch, the woman who built a small inheritance into a genuine fortune through decades of smart investments, careful saving, and running a successful real estate business. They're expecting her to walk through those double doors any minute now, probably wearing pearls and a designer dress, ready to announce who's going to inherit the company, the properties, the investment accounts, the whole empire. What they don't know is that she's already here. I'm already here. I've been here for 2 hours, serving them drinks, clearing their plates, listening to every single word they say when they think the help can't hear them. The idea came to me 3 months ago, after my son Richard called me from his office downtown. He was using that voice he always uses when he wants something, that smooth, careful tone that makes every word sound like honey but leaves a bitter taste. He told me it was time to think about succession planning, about making sure the family wealth was protected for future generations, about setting up trusts and transfer arrangements. He used all the right words, all the professional language about estate planning and wealth management. But what I heard underneath was something else entirely. What I heard was a man counting his inheritance before his mother was even gone. So I started paying attention, really paying attention. I started noticing things I'd been too busy or too tired or maybe too hopeful to see before. The way Richard and his wife Claire would exchange looks when I talked about keeping the family business going. The way they'd steer conversations toward selling properties, liquidating assets, converting everything into cash. The way my grandson Tyler, their 22-year-old son, had started acting like he already owned the world, treating service workers like they were beneath him, throwing money around like it grew on trees, posting photos online of himself in expensive clubs with captions about living the millionaire lifestyle. I built something real. I started with almost nothing, worked 2 jobs while raising Richard on my own after his father died young, put myself through night school to get my real estate license, bought my first rental property with money I saved from doing other people's laundry and cleaning their houses. I know what it's like to be invisible. I know what it's like to have people look right through you because you're wearing a uniform or carrying a mop. And I raised my son to understand that, to respect the people who do the hard work that keeps the world running. But somewhere along the way, after he married Claire and moved into her family's social circle, after the money started flowing easier and the business started growing faster, he forgot. Or maybe he just stopped caring. Tonight is supposed to be the big announcement. The family gathered for what they think is a celebration dinner before I reveal my succession plan. Richard told everyone I was running late, that I'd be here by 8 o'clock. It's 7:30 now, and I'm watching my family, my blood, my legacy, treat a woman in a maid's uniform like she's furniture. Tyler is holding court at the center table, surrounded by his cousins and a few friends he brought along. He's wearing a suit that probably cost $3,000, his hair styled with that carefully messy look that takes 20 minutes and expensive product to achieve. He's talking loud, gesturing with a wine glass in one hand, telling some story about a business deal he claims he put together, though I know for a fact he's never worked a real day in his life. His trust fund pays him more every month than most families see in a year. The trust fund I set up, the money I earned. Claire is sitting with her sister and a few other women from their social club, all of them dressed like they're attending a charity gala instead of a family dinner. They're comparing photos on their phones, talking about kitchen renovations and personal trainers and which private school has the best connections. Richard is near the bar with his business partners, discussing expansion plans for the company, talking about selling off some of the older properties to fund development of luxury condos downtown. My properties, the ones I bought and renovated and managed for 30 years, none of them see me. The woman in the black uniform is invisible to them. I move between tables, refilling water glasses, removing empty plates. The catering company I hired for tonight was very understanding when I explained what I wanted to do. They thought it was eccentric, maybe, but they didn't ask too many questions when I paid them triple their usual rate and asked to work alongside their staff for the evening. I'm wearing a name tag that says, Mary. I've pulled my white hair back into a tight bun. I'm wearing the kind of sensible black shoes that I wore 40 years ago when I cleaned houses to make ends meet. I look like 1,000 other older women who work service jobs to supplement their Social Security checks or stretch their retirement savings. Tyler snaps his fingers at me. Actually snaps his fingers, like I'm a dog. Hey, you, we need more wine over here. I walk over with a bottle of the expensive Cabernet that Richard ordered specially for tonight. $200 a bottle. I remember when $20 felt like a fortune to spend on wine, back when it was a special occasion just to buy a bottle at all. I approach the table carefully, professionally, the way I learned to move in people's homes all those years ago when I was trying to be invisible, trying not to disturb anything, trying to just do my work and leave. Tyler doesn't look at me. He's still talking to his friends, laughing at something one of them said. I start to pour wine into his glass, measuring carefully, the way proper service requires. This whole thing is such a joke, Tyler is saying. His words are slightly slurred. This isn't his first glass of wine tonight, not by a long shot. My grandmother acts like she built some kind of empire, but it's just real estate. It's not like she invented something or created some revolutionary business. She bought buildings when they were cheap and sold them when they were expensive. Anyone could have done it. One of his friends laughs. Yeah, but she's loaded, right? That's all that matters. Exactly. And it's about time that money actually got used for something other than sitting in boring old properties and conservative investment portfolios. When I take over, we're going to liquidate everything, put it all into crypto and tech startups, actually make some real money instead of this slow, safe, old person approach to wealth management. My hand trembles slightly as I pour. The wine is almost at the right level in his glass. What about your dad? Another friend asks. Isn't he supposed to inherit first? Tyler waves his hand dismissively. My dad knows the deal. He'll get his cut, obviously, but I'm the future. I'm the one who understands how money actually works in the modern world. My grandmother is stuck in the past, thinking about pensions and savings accounts and owning property. That's 20th century thinking. We're in the 21st century now. Money should work for you, not the other way around. Claire's voice cuts across the room from the other table. Tyler, darling, don't monopolize all the good wine. She's laughing, that high-pitched social laugh that doesn't reach her eyes. Tyler grabs the bottle from my hands before I can set it down properly. I got it. He sloshes wine into glasses around the table, spilling a little on the white tablecloth. Then he looks at me for the first time, really looks at me, and there's nothing kind in his eyes. You can go now. We don't need you hovering. I step back. My heart is pounding so hard I can feel it in my throat. But I keep my face neutral, keep my posture submissive, keep playing this role. That's when Claire calls out again, louder this time. Oh my goodness, everyone! Everyone! She's standing now, her phone in her hand, her face flushed with wine and excitement. I just got a text from Margaret's driver. She's going to be another 30 minutes late. Something about traffic from the airport. The airport. I almost smile at that. I told my assistant to send that text, to buy myself more time to see exactly who my family has become. Richard stands up, clinking his fork against his glass to get everyone's attention. Well then, we have time for another toast, to family, to prosperity, to the future of the Whitmore legacy. Everyone raises their glasses. Everyone except me, of course. The help doesn't participate in family toasts. Tyler is standing now too, swaying slightly. To grandmother's money! He shouts, and there's scattered laughter around the room. Some of it is uncomfortable, some of it is genuine. Claire giggles. Tyler, you're terrible. I'm honest, he says. Everyone here is thinking it. We're all just waiting to find out how the money gets divided up. At least I'm saying it out loud. Richard tries to settle things down. Son, that's not appropriate. This is about family, about legacy, about money, Dad. It's always about money. That's what legacy means. That's what inheritance means. It means who gets the cash, who gets the properties, who gets the investment portfolio. And honestly, it should be the people who actually know what to do with it, not just whoever happens to be oldest. The room has gone quieter now. People are watching this play out, sensing drama, that peculiar tension that comes when someone says something true but inappropriate at a family gathering. Tyler picks up the wine bottle again, draining the last of it into his glass. Then he notices me again, still standing near the table. What are you still doing here? I said you could go. I'm sorry, sir, I say softly, using a voice that's a little rougher than my normal tone, a little more worn down. I was just going to collect the empty bottles. Well, do it faster. God, you'd think for what we're paying this catering company, they'd hire people who actually know how to be invisible. His friend Jake, a young man I vaguely recognize from photos Tyler has posted online, laughs at that. Invisible. That's good. I'm serious, Tyler continues, warming to his subject now, performing for his audience. That's the whole point of service workers. They're supposed to blend into the background. You're not supposed to notice them. They're like furniture that moves. Claire is watching from across the room, and she's not stopping him. She's smiling, actually, like this is charming somehow, like her son's cruelty is just youthful high spirits. I reach for the empty wine bottle on the table. My hand is steady now. Something has shifted inside me, something cold and clear and absolutely certain. Tyler pulls the bottle away before I can take it. You know what? I'm not done with this yet. He tips the bottle upside down over his glass, and a few last drops fall out. See? Still getting use out of it. Then, and I'll remember this moment for the rest of my life, then he looks at me with this expression of pure contempt, this look that says I'm not even human to him, just an obstacle, just an annoyance. And he tips the bottle toward me, letting those last few drops of expensive red wine fall onto my white apron. The room goes very still. Oops, Tyler says, not sounding sorry at all. Guess you'll have to add that to the cleaning bill. Jake bursts out laughing. A few other people at the table join in, that nervous laughter that people make when they're not sure if something is funny or horrible, but they don't want to seem uptight. And then Claire, my daughter-in-law, the woman I welcomed into this family, the woman I helped support when she and Richard were first starting out. Claire stands up and applauds, actually applauds. Oh, Tyler, you're just like your grandfather. He never took any nonsense from the staff either. That's not true. My husband was one of the kindest men I ever knew, and he treated everyone with respect no matter what their job was. But Claire is rewriting history, turning cruelty into some kind of family trait to be proud of. Richard is watching all this, and he's not doing anything. He's not stopping his son. He's not defending this woman being humiliated in front of everyone. He's just standing there with this uncomfortable expression, like he wishes this wasn't happening, but he's not willing to intervene. The wine is soaking through my apron, cold against my skin. Tyler is still holding the empty bottle, looking pleased with himself. You know, maybe we should make this a thing. Every time grandmother is late to something, we get to mess with the help. It's only fair, right? We're all waiting around for her. We should get some entertainment. More laughter. Not everyone is laughing, I notice. Some of my nieces and nephews look uncomfortable. Richard's sister Dorothy is frowning. But enough people are laughing to make Tyler feel validated, encouraged. I look down at my apron, at the red wine staining the white fabric like blood. I look at this room full of people wearing clothes that cost thousands of dollars, drinking wine that costs hundreds, waiting to find out how much of my money they're going to get. I look at my grandson, who I used to hold as a baby, who I used to read stories to, who I taught to ride a bike in the driveway of my first real house, the one I bought with money I earned from working jobs just like this one. And I make my decision. If this story has already touched your heart, subscribe now, leave a like, and tell me in the comments what city you're watching from. I've been planning this moment for 3 months, but I thought it would happen differently. I thought I would reveal myself in some dignified way, maybe after dinner, maybe during a quiet conversation. I thought I would have proof of their true natures, yes, but I imagined it would be more subtle. Greedy comments about money, thoughtless remarks about my age, plans to push me towards selling assets I didn't want to sell. I never imagined it would be this. I never imagined my own grandson would pour wine on a woman in a maid's uniform while his parents laughed. But now I know exactly who they are. I grew up in a small town 3 hours north of here, in a house that my father built with his own hands. We didn't have much. My father worked construction. My mother took in sewing and laundry. We had enough to eat, a roof that didn't leak too badly, and the knowledge that if you worked hard and treated people right, you could make something of yourself. When I met Thomas Whitmore at a church social when I was 19, I thought I'd found someone who understood that. He was studying accounting at the community college, working nights at a factory to pay for it. We got married young, maybe too young, but we were happy. We had dreams that felt possible because we were both willing to work for them. Richard was born 2 years later. Thomas got his degree and landed a job at a decent firm downtown. We bought a tiny house, our first real home, with a mortgage that scared us both, but felt like the most grown-up thing we'd ever done. We planted tomatoes in the backyard. We painted the nursery pale blue ourselves, staying up late with paint in our hair, laughing at our mistakes. We were building something day by day, paycheck by paycheck. Then Thomas died. Heart attack at 36. Sudden, brutal, complete. One day he was complaining about his boss and planning our summer vacation to the lake. The next day he was gone, and I was a widow with a 14-year-old son and a mortgage I couldn't afford on my own. I had 2 choices. I could fold, sell the house, move in with my mother, take whatever safe, small path was available to a woman alone with a kid to raise. Or I could fight. I chose to fight. I took every job I could find. I cleaned houses during the day, starting at 6 in the morning and finishing around 2. Then I'd go home, make sure Richard had something to eat, help him with his homework, and head out to my night job cleaning offices downtown. I worked until midnight most nights, sometimes later. On weekends I did laundry for other people, ironing dress shirts for businessmen, washing and folding sheets for families who could afford to pay someone else to do it. And every single penny I didn't absolutely need for food, utilities, and Richard's school clothes, I saved. I opened an account at a bank downtown and I deposited money like clockwork, $5, $10, whatever I could manage. The bank manager, Mr. Peterson, used to smile at me every Friday when I came in with my little envelope of cash. He was the one who first suggested I think about buying property instead of just renting forever. "You're paying someone else's mortgage, Margaret," he told me once. "Why not pay your own?" But I didn't have enough for a down payment on a house, not a real house in a decent neighborhood. Mr. Peterson suggested I look at rental properties instead. Small apartments in areas that weren't quite nice yet but had potential. Buy something cheap, fix it up yourself, rent it out. The rent pays the mortgage, and you build equity. In 10 years, you'll have something real. It took me 3 years to save enough for that first down payment. 3 years of cleaning other people's homes, washing other people's clothes, being invisible in other people's lives. I wore the same 4 dresses in rotation. I cut Richard's hair myself. We ate a lot of rice and beans and whatever was on sale. But I did it. I bought a tiny 4-unit apartment building in a neighborhood that real estate agents called transitional, which meant poor, but maybe getting better. That building was falling apart. Cracked windows, ancient plumbing, a roof that needed replacing. But it was mine. I spent every free hour I had learning how to fix things. I taught myself basic plumbing from library books. I learned to patch drywall, paint walls, install light fixtures. Richard helped me on weekends, holding tools, handing me nails, learning alongside me. We worked in our old clothes, covered in dust and paint and determination. I rented those apartments to people like me, people who needed a break, who were working hard but couldn't afford much. I kept the rent reasonable. I fixed things when they broke. I was a good landlord because I remembered what it was like to be a tenant, to be at someone else's mercy, to worry that one expensive repair might mean you couldn't make rent that month. And slowly, so slowly, the building started making money. Not a lot, but enough. Enough that after 5 years, I could buy another building, then another. Then a house that I could renovate and flip. Then a small commercial property. Richard grew up in those buildings, watching me work, learning what it took to build something real. He went to college on scholarships I helped him apply for, working part-time to cover what the scholarships didn't. He got his business degree, came back home, and started working with me in the real estate business that had grown from that first little apartment building. I thought he understood. I thought he knew that money wasn't magic, that wealth came from work and sacrifice and treating people with dignity. I thought I'd taught him that the woman cleaning your office deserves the same respect as the CEO in the corner suite, because I'd been that cleaning woman, and I'd built something real from it. But somewhere, somehow, I lost him. Or maybe I just never really knew him. When Richard married Claire 15 years ago, I was happy for him. She came from money, from a family with connections and country club memberships and the kind of casual wealth that never had to think too hard about bills or budgets. I worried a little that they came from different worlds, but I thought love would bridge that gap. I thought Claire would see the value in what we'd built, in the honest work behind our success. Instead, I watched my son change. He started caring more about appearances, about status, about being seen in the right places with the right people. He pushed me to expand the business faster, to take bigger risks, to borrow against our properties to fund ambitious development projects. He wanted to build luxury condos and high-end retail spaces instead of the affordable housing I'd always focused on. We fought about it. Quiet fights at first, professional disagreements in business meetings, but they got louder over the years. Richard accused me of being too conservative, too risk-averse, too stuck in old ways of thinking. I accused him of forgetting where we came from, of chasing trends instead of building sustainable value. But I loved him. He was my son, my only child, the baby I'd held in my arms the night his father died, and promised I would give him a good life. So I compromised. I let him take on some of the flashier projects. I backed off from day-to-day management of the business. I stepped back, thinking maybe I was just being an old woman who couldn't adapt to changing times. Tyler was born a year after the wedding, my first grandchild. I held him in the hospital and felt that same fierce love I'd felt for Richard, that overwhelming need to protect and provide. I set up a trust fund for him, funding it with rental income from my properties. I wanted him to have opportunities, to have choices, to never struggle the way I had struggled. But I also wanted him to understand the value of work, the dignity of earning what you have. I wanted him to respect the people who served him, who helped him, who made his comfortable life possible. I failed at that. Somehow, I completely failed at that. Tyler grew up in a mansion in the nicest part of town. He went to private schools where tuition cost more than I used to make in a year. He had new cars on his 16th birthday, credit cards with no limits, vacations to places I'd only seen in magazines. Claire and Richard gave him everything, and somehow in giving him everything, they taught him to value nothing. He never had a real job. Oh, Richard gave him a title at the company, put him on the payroll, but Tyler never actually worked. He showed up late when he showed up at all. He treated the office staff like they were beneath him. He made decisions based on what sounded impressive rather than what made sense financially. And when I tried to talk to Richard about it, tried to suggest that maybe Tyler needed some real responsibility, some actual consequences, Richard defended him. He's young, Mom. He's still finding himself. You can't expect him to be as driven as you were. Times are different now. Times are different. That's what people say when they mean, I don't want to work as hard as you did, or I don't want to hold my children accountable, or I want the money without the struggle. 3 months ago, Richard asked me to meet him for lunch at an expensive restaurant downtown. He was already there when I arrived, sitting at a table by the window, looking successful and confident in his tailored suit. He ordered wine I didn't want and an appetizer I didn't ask for, talking the whole time about the business, about expansion opportunities, about his vision for the future. Then he got to the real point of the lunch. Mom, you're 73. You've worked your entire life. Don't you think it's time to enjoy your retirement? To travel, relax? Let someone else handle the stress of managing the business? I set down my fork. I do enjoy my work, Richard. It's not stress to me. It's purpose. He smiled, that patient smile that made me feel like a child. I know you love it, but the business needs to evolve. We need to make some big moves, and I worry that you're going to resist them because you're attached to the old way of doing things. What kind of big moves? He pulled out his phone, showed me plans for a massive development project. Selling off 6 of my older apartment buildings, the ones in neighborhoods that still hadn't fully gentrified, the ones where I kept rents affordable because I remembered being the person who needed affordable rent. He wanted to use that money plus a significant loan to build a luxury high-rise downtown. This is a $30 million opportunity, Mom, but we need to move fast, and we need to be all in. No half measures, no safe plays. This is how we take the business to the next level. And if it fails? If the market shifts, If we can't fill a luxury building in this economy? If interest rates rise and we're sitting on a massive debt? It won't fail. I've done the analysis. Claire's father is willing to invest as a partner. This is the kind of project that will make us real players in this city's development scene. That phrase, real players, as if what we'd built over 40 years, what I'd built from nothing, wasn't real. As if providing affordable housing for hundreds of families wasn't real. As if the steady, sustainable business I'd created wasn't real. I need to think about it, I told him. His smile faded. Mom, the opportunity won't wait. We need to move in the next 60 days or someone else will grab this site. I need you to trust me on this. I do trust you, Richard, but this is a massive decision. I need time to review the numbers, talk to my financial advisor, understand all the risks. He put his phone away, and his voice changed, became harder. Your financial advisor is 80 years old and thinks a good investment is a certificate of deposit at 2% interest. The world has changed, Mom. Money moves faster now. Fortunes are made by people who are willing to take risks, not by people who play it safe. I didn't build what we have by playing it safe, I said quietly. I built it by being smart, by working hard, by not betting everything on one big score. Yeah, well, maybe that's the difference between our generations. You're satisfied with what you have. I want more. We didn't finish lunch. I left him sitting there, probably calling Claire to complain about his stubborn mother who didn't understand modern business. I went home to my house, the house I'd bought 20 years ago, with money I'd earned, and I sat in my kitchen with a cup of tea and thought about what was happening. My son wanted me to step aside. He wanted control of the business, control of the properties, control of the money. And he wanted it now, while I was still alive, before I could make decisions he didn't like about what happened to everything after I was gone. That's when I started really listening, really watching. I heard Claire talking to her friends about how much longer I was going to insist on working, and how inconvenient it was that I wouldn't just let Richard run things the way he wanted to. I saw Tyler posting on social media about his lifestyle, tagging locations at expensive clubs and restaurants, posing with bottles of champagne that cost more than some of my tenants made in a week. I noticed that Richard had started having meetings about the business without inviting me, making decisions and then informing me after the fact. They were already acting like I was gone. Like I was already just a name on documents, an obstacle to overcome, a source of funding that hadn't been fully tapped yet. I started going through my files, really examining everything. I found loan applications Richard had submitted using company properties as collateral, applications I'd never approved. I found contracts he'd signed committing us to projects I'd never agreed to. I found emails between him and Claire discussing how to handle me, how to convince me to sign over power of attorney so they could protect me from making poor decisions in my declining years. I'm 73. I walk 3 miles every morning. I do the New York Times crossword puzzle in under 15 minutes. I manage a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio. I'm not declining. I'm just inconvenient. That's when I decided to do this, to really see who my family had become when they thought no one important was watching. I called my lawyer, the one Richard doesn't know about, the one I've had since before Richard joined the business. I explained what I wanted to do. He thought I was crazy at first, but I convinced him. I wanted to gather my family for what they thought was going to be a succession planning announcement. I wanted to test them. I wanted to see how they treated someone they thought had no power, no money, no importance. I wanted to see if they'd treat a maid with the same contempt they were starting to show me. So I arranged tonight. I told Richard I wanted to gather the family to discuss my estate plans, that I was ready to make some decisions about the future. He was thrilled, thought he'd finally worn me down. He helped plan this dinner, picked out this venue, invited everyone he thought mattered. He told me to show up at 8, that he'd handle all the arrangements. He didn't know I'd be here at 5:30, wearing a uniform I borrowed from my past, watching everything with eyes he thought were too old to see clearly. And now Tyler has poured wine on me. My grandson, who exists because I didn't give up when his grandfather died, who lives in a mansion because I cleaned houses until my hands cracked and bled, who drives a car that costs more than my first 5 properties combined. He just poured wine on a woman in a maid's uniform while his parents laughed. The stain is spreading across my apron. The room is watching, waiting to see what happens next. I could end this right now. I could pull off this uniform, reveal who I am, watch the color drain from their faces. I could ruin this party, humiliate them the way they've humiliated this woman they think is just staff. But I don't. Not yet. Because I need to see more. I need to understand exactly how deep this goes, who's complicit, who might still be salvageable. I need to know if this is just Tyler, just Richard and Claire, or if the rot has spread through my entire family. And somewhere in the back of my mind, there's a small voice asking a question I'm afraid to answer. Maybe I did this. Maybe by working so hard, by building so much, by giving them everything I never had, I created people who don't know the value of anything because they've never had to struggle for it. But that night, standing in that ballroom with wine soaking through my apron, I was still holding a secret that would change everything. I was still waiting to see just how bad it would get before I revealed what I knew, who I was, and what I was prepared to do about it. One of the other servers, a young woman named Anna, who works for the catering company, approaches me quietly. "Ma'am, are you okay? Do you want to go change?" I shake my head. "I'm fine. It's just wine. I've had worse stains before." She looks at me with concern, with kindness, the kind of basic human decency that seems to be missing from this entire room full of my blood relatives. "Those people are awful. You don't have to take that kind of treatment. We can tell the manager, get you reassigned to the kitchen." "No," I say softly. "I need to stay here. I need to see how this plays out." She doesn't understand, but she nods anyway and moves on to clear plates from another table. Tyler has returned to his seat, accepting congratulations from his friends like he just did something brave instead of something cruel. Claire has gone back to her conversation with the other women, occasionally glancing over at her son with maternal pride. Richard is talking business again, pretending nothing happened, or maybe genuinely not caring that his son just humiliated another human being for entertainment. I move through the room, invisible again. I refill water glasses. I clear away empty wine bottles. I listen. Dorothy, Richard's sister, catches my arm gently as I pass her table. "Excuse me, miss?" Her voice is kind. "I'm so sorry about what happened. My nephew can be very thoughtless. Please know that not all of us think that kind of behavior is acceptable." I look at her, really look at her, and I see something I haven't seen much tonight. I see genuine concern, genuine embarrassment. Dorothy never had children of her own, never married, focused on her career as a teacher instead. We've been close over the years, though I haven't seen her as much lately. She lives modestly, despite having her own small trust fund from our business profits, donates a lot to local schools, volunteers at a literacy center. "Thank you," I say quietly. "That's very kind of you." She lowers her voice. "Between you and me, I think my mother would be horrified if she could see how some people in this family have turned out. She used to tell us that character matters more than money, that how you treat people when you don't have to be nice to them is the real measure of who you are." My mother. She's talking about my mother, the woman who took in sewing to help pay bills, who taught me that dignity didn't come from what you owned, but from how you lived. I feel my throat tighten with unexpected emotion, but I keep my face neutral. "Your mother sounds like she was a wise woman," I managed to say. "She was, and I wish more people in this family remembered her lessons." Dorothy hands me a $20 bill. "For your trouble. And again, I'm sorry." I look at the money in my hand. $20 that Dorothy thinks will help a struggling maid, a woman working on her feet all evening for probably minimum wage, plus whatever small tips she might collect. Dorothy doesn't know that I own the building she lives in, that I set up her trust fund, that I've been putting money aside for years to make sure she'll be comfortable in her retirement, even though she never asked me for anything. I slip the 20 into my apron pocket. "Thank you, ma'am. You're very generous." As I move away, I hear Dorothy speaking quietly to the woman next to her. "This whole evening feels wrong, like we're vultures circling before someone's even gone. Margaret deserves better than this. At least someone thinks so." The clock on the wall shows 7:45. 15 minutes until I'm supposedly supposed to arrive. The energy in the room is building, a mixture of anticipation and alcohol-fueled confidence. More wine has been opened. The noise level has risen. People are getting comfortable, settling into that warm, slightly reckless feeling that comes from drinking expensive alcohol in expensive clothes while discussing expensive plans. I'm near the bar when I hear Claire's voice rise above the general conversation. She's talking to a woman I don't recognize, someone young and well-dressed who's listening with the intensity of a reporter sensing a story. "Oh, Margaret is lovely, of course, but she's just so old-fashioned," Claire is saying. She still thinks running a business means personally checking every lease, visiting every property, reviewing every expense report. It's exhausting just watching her. And the worst part is she won't delegate anything important because she doesn't trust anyone else to do it right. It's like she thinks she's still some cleaning lady trying to scrape by instead of the head of a multi-million-dollar company. The other woman makes a sympathetic sound. "That must be so frustrating for your husband. You have no idea. Richard has all these brilliant ideas for expansion, for modernization, for really taking advantage of the current market, but she shoots down everything that feels even slightly risky to her. She's terrified of debt, terrified of change, terrified of anything that might threaten her little empire. Meanwhile, we're missing out on opportunities that could multiply our wealth 5-10 times over. Our wealth," she said, "our wealth. Not Margaret's wealth, not the family business, our wealth, like it already belongs to her." "So what's tonight about?" the other woman asks. "Is she finally going to hand things over?" Claire's smile is sharp, predatory. "That's the plan. We've been working on her for months, getting her to see that it's time to pass the torch, let the next generation take control. Richard has all the paperwork ready, power of attorney, updated corporate structure, everything. She just needs to sign, and then we can finally move forward without having to argue with her about every single decision." I grip the edge of the bar, forcing myself to breathe normally. Power of attorney, updated corporate structure. They have paperwork ready for me to sign tonight. Paperwork I haven't seen, haven't reviewed with my lawyer, haven't agreed to. They're planning to get me in a room full of family, full of pressure and expectations, and push documents at me while everyone's watching, while I'm supposed to be celebrating and magnanimous. This isn't succession planning. This is a trap. The bartender, a young man who's been watching the whole evening with barely concealed disgust, leans over to me. "You okay? You look pale." "I'm fine," I say automatically. Then, "How much longer until the guest of honor is supposed to arrive?" He checks his watch. "About 10 minutes. Why?" "Just wondering when this circus really gets started." He grins at that. "Yeah, this is quite a family you're serving tonight. I've worked a lot of private events, but this one's something special. Everyone here is so eager to talk about money they haven't earned yet. It's like watching people spend an inheritance before the person is even dead." "You think that's what this is?" He shrugs. "I think there's a reason that Tyler Kidd feels comfortable treating people like garbage in public. He learned it somewhere, and everyone here is either participating or looking the other way. Out of the mouths of bartenders. Sometimes the people we pay to serve us see us more clearly than we see ourselves." Richard is approaching the bar now, and I instinctively turn away, busying myself with straightening glasses on a tray. He doesn't even glance at me, just addresses the bartender directly. "We're going to need champagne ready to pour when my mother arrives. The good stuff, the Dom Perignon we ordered. Make sure you have enough glasses set up. This is going to be a real celebration." "Yes, sir," the bartender says smoothly. "Everything's ready." Richard nods, satisfied, then turns to survey the room. I'm standing maybe 3 feet from him, but I'm invisible. He looks right through me, his mind already on the performance he's about to give, the announcement he thinks is coming, the power he thinks he's about to gain. For a moment, I want to speak. I want to say, "Richard, it's me. I'm right here. Look at me." I want to ask him when exactly he stopped seeing me as his mother and started seeing me as an obstacle to his ambitions. But I don't. I just stand there, holding my tray of glasses, a woman in a uniform that makes her disappear. Tyler appears at his father's side, slightly unsteady on his feet. "Dad, when's Grandma getting here? I want to get this over with so we can actually enjoy the party." "Soon, son. Another few minutes. And remember what we talked about. Be respectful, be grateful, let me do most of the talking." Yeah, I know. Butter up the old lady, make her feel important, get her to sign the papers. I've got it. Richard's jaw tightens. "This isn't a con, Tyler. This is family business." "Show some respect," Tyler laughs. "Right, because we've been showing so much respect tonight." He gestures vaguely in my direction, at the woman with wine stains on her apron. "I'm just saying what everyone's thinking, Dad. You want her money and her properties and her business, but you want to pretend it's all about love and legacy and family values. At least I'm honest about what this is." "Keep your voice down," Richard hisses. People are listening. Let them listen. They're all here for the same reason. Nobody drove out here on a Saturday night just to have dinner and make small talk. They want to know what they're getting, who's in charge, how the money's going to flow. That's what inheritance is about. That's what family wealth is about. Richard's face has gone red. Your grandmother built something real, Tyler. Something that started with nothing and became significant through hard work and sacrifice. That deserves respect, whether you understand it or not. Oh, I respect it, Dad. I respect that she was smart enough to buy property when it was cheap and sell it when it wasn't. I respect that she turned poverty into prosperity. But that doesn't mean I have to worship at the altar of her outdated business philosophy for the rest of my life. Times change. The market changes. Either we adapt or we get left behind. They're standing so close to me I could reach out and touch them. Father and son, arguing about me like I'm already dead. Like my life's work is already theirs to divide up and dispose of however they see fit. I should stop this. I should end this charade right now, tell them exactly what I think of their plans, their paperwork, their utter lack of basic human decency. But I don't, because I'm learning something important. I'm learning that Richard isn't being manipulated by Claire or pushed by Tyler. He's complicit. He's leading this. He raised Tyler to think this way. Or at least he allowed Claire to raise him this way without intervening. He's the one who prepared the paperwork, who arranged this evening, who's been systematically working to take control of everything I built. And somewhere in my heart, something breaks. A hope I didn't even know I was still holding. The hope that my son was better than this, that underneath the expensive suits and the social climbing and the business aggression, there was still the boy I raised, the boy who helped me renovate apartments on weekends, the boy who understood what it took to build something real. That boy is gone, if he ever really existed. The bartender touches my arm gently. Are you sure you're okay? You look like you might faint. I force myself to straighten up, to put on the mask of professional service. I'm fine, just tired, long shift. He doesn't look convinced, but he nods and turns back to preparing the champagne service. 7:55. 5 minutes until showtime. 5 minutes until Margaret Eleanor Whitmore is supposed to walk through those doors and into whatever trap her son has prepared for her. But Margaret Eleanor Whitmore is already here. She's been here for hours. She's heard everything, seen everything, felt the wine soak through her apron while her family laughed. And she's made her decision about what happens next. The room has gone quieter now, that expectant hush that falls over a crowd when something significant is about to happen. People are checking their phones, glancing toward the entrance, adjusting their clothes and their postures. The performance is about to begin. Claire is standing near the entrance with another woman, someone I recognize as Richard's business partner's wife. They're speaking in low voices, but I've moved close enough to hear them while pretending to check the flower arrangements on a nearby table. How do you think she'll react to the proposal? The business partner's wife asks. Claire's laugh is brittle, confident. Oh, she'll resist at first. Margaret always resists anything that wasn't her idea originally, but Richard's very good at making her see reason. And with the whole family here watching, with everyone expecting her to be gracious and generous, she won't want to make a scene. She'll sign. She always signs eventually. And then Richard will have full control? Full operational control, yes. Margaret will still technically own everything, but Richard will make all the actual decisions, which is how it should be. She's had her turn running things. It's time for fresh vision, fresh energy, fresh ideas. I want to laugh at that. Fresh ideas. Like selling affordable housing to build luxury condos nobody needs. Like taking on massive debt for flashy development projects. Like treating real estate like a casino instead of a business built on helping people find homes they can afford. But I don't laugh. I just adjust a rose in the arrangement, my hands steady even though my heart is racing. 8 o'clock. The double doors at the entrance open, and everyone turns to look, expecting to see me walk through. Instead, it's just the restaurant manager, looking confused. I'm sorry, folks, he says. I just got a call from Mrs. Whitmore's driver. There's been some kind of delay. She's asking everyone to please start without her, that she'll be here within the hour. A murmur runs through the crowd. Disappointment, frustration. Some people are already calculating whether it's worth waiting, whether they should just leave. Richard's face has gone tight with annoyance. He pulls out his phone, presumably to call me, to demand an explanation. I watch him dial, watch him wait, watch him shake his head when it goes to voicemail. Of course it goes to voicemail. My phone is turned off, locked in my car in the parking lot. I'm not taking calls right now. Tyler slams his hand down on the table. This is ridiculous. We've been waiting here for hours just for her to flake out? This is so typical. She probably did this on purpose just to make us all sweat. Claire rushes over to calm him down. Sweetheart, I'm sure it's just traffic. You know how unpredictable the roads can be on Saturday evenings. She'll be here soon. She better be, Tyler mutters. I've got plans later. I'm not spending my whole night waiting around for Grandma to grace us with her presence. Richard is still staring at his phone, looking more anxious now than angry. For just a moment, I see something in his face that reminds me of the boy he used to be, the one who worried about disappointing me, who wanted my approval more than anything. But then, Claire whispers something in his ear, and the expression vanishes, replaced by that smooth business mask he wears so well now. Everyone, please, Richard calls out, raising his voice to address the room. Let's go ahead and enjoy dinner. My mother apologizes for the delay and wants us to start without her. She'll join us as soon as she can. The servers from the catering company begin bringing out the first course. I join them, carrying plates of seared scallops with some kind of foam and microgreens that probably cost $50 per serving. I set plates in front of people who don't look at me, don't thank me, don't acknowledge my existence in any way, except Dorothy. She thanks me quietly each time I approach her table. And I notice a few others, some of Richard's cousins, some older relatives who knew my mother, who still remember what it's like to be grateful for service. But most of them just keep talking about money. I'm standing near Tyler's table when one of his friends, Jake, leans back in his chair and almost collides with me. He doesn't apologize, just moves forward again like I'm a piece of furniture he bumped into. So what do you think you'll do with your share? Jake asks Tyler. When the old lady finally distributes everything? Tyler swirls wine in his glass, considering. First thing, I'm buying a place in Miami. Beachfront condo, maybe 2 bedrooms, somewhere I can go party on weekends. Then I'm probably going to start my own investment fund. My dad's business is fine for what it is, but it's too conservative, too focused on real estate. I want to get into cryptocurrency, tech startups, maybe some venture capital plays. With your inheritance money? With my money, Tyler corrects. Once she signs over control, it becomes our money. Family wealth, right? And I'm family, so I get a say in how it's used. Another friend chimes in. Didn't you say your grandmother has like 40 properties or something? 47, Tyler says, and I'm surprised he knows the number. Most of them are older apartment buildings in transitional neighborhoods. My dad wants to sell them off and consolidate into bigger projects. Get rid of all the small-time landlord stuff and focus on major developments. Transitional neighborhoods means the places where my tenants live. Working families, single mothers, elderly people on fixed incomes, immigrants trying to make a new life. People like I used to be. And my son wants to sell their homes out from under them so he can build luxury condos that none of them could ever afford. I must make some small sound because Jake glances up at me. You need something? No, sir. Sorry, just clearing plates. He's already stopped looking at me before I finish speaking. Tyler continues, warming to his subject. The thing people don't understand about family wealth is that it's not just about the money you have now. It's about positioning yourself for exponential growth. My grandmother built something solid, sure, but she built it using last century's strategies. We're in the digital age now. Money moves differently. Wealth is created differently. If we don't adapt, we'll get left behind by families who are willing to take risks. One of his cousins, a young woman named Ashley, who I vaguely remember as being sweet when she was younger, speaks up. But don't those older properties provide steady income? Isn't that worth something? Tyler makes a dismissive gesture. Steady income is for people who are afraid of real success. You want steady? Get a pension. You want wealth? You take calculated risks with high upside potential. Pensions, Jake laughs. Who even has pensions anymore? That's boomer thinking. They're talking about retirement security, about the very thing that keeps millions of older Americans alive and housed, like it's some kind of joke, like financial stability is weakness instead of wisdom. I move away from their table before I do something I'll regret, before I tell them exactly what I think about trust fund kids who've never worked a day in their lives lecturing others about wealth creation. In the corner near the kitchen entrance, I find Anna, the young server who checked on me earlier. She's taking a break, scrolling through her phone with tired eyes. How are you holding up? I ask her. She looks up, startled, then relaxes when she sees it's me. I'm okay. Just trying to get through the shift, you know? I've got 2 more events after this one tonight. Trying to save up for my daughter's daycare costs so I can take some classes at the community college. What do you want to study? Nursing, maybe? Or dental hygiene? Something with job security and decent pay. Something where I won't have to work 3 jobs just to keep a roof over our heads. She gestures at the ballroom. What about you? You been doing this work long? A lifetime, I say quietly. In one form or another. She nods like she understands. It's honest work. Nothing to be ashamed of. But some people, she trails off, glancing toward Tyler's table. Some people make you feel like you should be ashamed anyway. Yes, I agree. Some people do. We stand there in companionable silence for a moment. 2 women in uniform, invisible to the people celebrating in the next room. 2 women who know what it's like to worry about daycare costs and community college tuition and whether you'll be able to pay all your bills this month. Anna's phone buzzes. She checks it and sighs. My babysitter. My daughter's not feeling well. I might have to leave early. Go, I tell her. Your daughter needs you more than these people need another server. I can't afford to lose this job. I'll cover for you. Tell the manager you got sick, that I said I could handle your tables. She looks at me with surprise and gratitude. Really? You'd do that? Really? Go take care of your little girl. After she leaves, I pick up her tray and return to the ballroom. The plates have been cleared, and now people are standing in small groups, mingling, drinking more wine, checking their watches and phones. The energy is restless. They're waiting for me, and I'm not coming. Not yet. I'm near the bar when I hear Claire's voice again. She's talking to Richard now, her tone sharp with frustration. This is embarrassing, Richard. Everyone's wondering what's going on. Your mother promised she'd be here to make an announcement, and now she's playing these games. It's disrespectful to everyone who cleared their schedules to be here. I'm sure she has a good reason, Richard says, but he sounds uncertain. Or she's having second thoughts about signing over control. You said you had her convinced. You said she was ready to step back. She was ready. She is ready. She likes to make an entrance. You know how she can be. What I know is that we have a room full of people waiting to hear succession plans, and the person who's supposed to announce them isn't even here. What are we supposed to do? Keep serving drinks and making small talk indefinitely? Richard's phone rings. He answers it immediately. Mom, where are you? Everyone's waiting. What? No, I understand, but... Mom, we planned this whole evening around your announcement. I see. Okay. Yes, I'll tell them. He hangs up, his face tight with barely controlled anger. Well? Claire demands. She says she got delayed at the lawyer's office. Something about last-minute paperwork. She'll be here by 9 o'clock. The lawyer's office? What lawyer? I thought we had all the paperwork ready. Not our lawyer. Her lawyer. Apparently she's been working with someone we don't know about, making some kind of changes to her estate plan. The color drains from Claire's face. What kind of changes? She wouldn't say. Just that she wanted to review everything one more time before making any announcements. I watch this exchange from 10 feet away, refilling water glasses that don't need refilling. My lawyer, the one Richard doesn't know about, is actually at home having dinner with his wife. But they don't know that. They don't know that the call Richard just took came from a burner phone I set up specifically for tonight, from a voice-changing app that made my assistant sound like me. I'm not at any lawyer's office. I'm right here, watching the panic spread across my daughter-in-law's face as she realizes she might not have as much control over this situation as she thought. This is bad, Claire whispers. If she's making changes without consulting us, if she's brought in outside counsel, it doesn't mean anything, Richard insists, but his voice lacks conviction. She's probably just being thorough. You know how she is about documentation. Or she knows what we're planning and she's cutting us out. She can't cut us out. I'm her only child. Tyler's her only grandchild. We're family. Family doesn't mean what it used to, Richard. Money changes things. You know that. Yes, I think. Money does change things. It reveals things. It shows you who people really are when there's something valuable at stake. Tyler appears beside his parents, clearly having overheard some of the conversation. What's going on? Why hasn't Grandma shown up yet? She's running late, Richard says tersely. She'll be here by 9. Another hour? Are you serious? Tyler pulls out his phone. I'm texting my friends. We might bail and hit some clubs instead. You'll stay right here, Richard snaps. This is family business, and you're part of this family whether you like it or not. Tyler's eyes narrow. Don't take your stress out on me, Dad. I'm not the one who apparently can't control his own mother. The tension between them is sharp enough to cut. Father and son, united in greed, but divided by impatience and anger. I watch them face off. Watch Claire step between them to smooth things over. Watch the little family unit I thought I'd helped create reveal itself as nothing more than a fragile alliance of self-interest. And I realize something important. When I finally reveal myself, when I finally show them who I am and what I've seen, it's not going to be enough to just punish them. I need to offer them something else too. A choice. A chance to be better than they've shown themselves to be tonight. Tyler might be salvageable. He's young, he's been taught wrong, but he's not beyond redemption. If I can separate him from his parents' influence, if I can show him that there's another way to live, another way to measure success and worth, maybe there's hope for him. But Richard and Claire? They've had decades to be better. They've had every opportunity to choose decency over greed, family over money, and at every turn, they've chosen wrong. The clock on the wall shows 8:30. Half an hour until I'm supposedly going to arrive. The room is getting louder now, fueled by alcohol and frustration. Some people are starting to leave, making excuses about other obligations, clearly deciding that whatever announcement I'm planning to make isn't worth waiting around for. Dorothy approaches me again, and this time there's concern in her eyes that goes beyond sympathy for a mistreated server. "Excuse me?" she says quietly. "I know this is an unusual question, but have we met before? There's something about you that seems familiar." My heart skips a beat. Dorothy always was perceptive. Even as a child, she noticed things other people missed. "I don't think so, ma'am," I say carefully. "I just have one of those faces." She studies me for another moment, then nods slowly. "Perhaps, but if we have met before, I hope it was under better circumstances than tonight. This whole evening has been—" She trails off, searching for the right word. "Revealing?" I suggest quietly. "Yes, exactly that. Revealing." She glances toward Richard, toward Tyler, toward Claire. "My brother was raised better than this. We both were. Our mother, Margaret's mother, she would be so disappointed in how some of us have turned out, how some of us treat people we consider beneath us. Maybe," I say carefully, "people only show their true selves when they think no one important is watching." Dorothy's eyes sharpen. "That's very wise. Are you sure we haven't met?" Before I can answer, there's a commotion near Tyler's table. He's standing now, swaying slightly, his voice raised in anger. "I don't care what anyone thinks. I'm tired of pretending like we're all here because we love each other. We're here because there's money on the table and everyone wants their piece. At least I'm honest about it." One of his cousins tries to calm him down. "Tyler, man, you're drunk. Maybe sit down." "I'm not drunk. I'm clear-headed for the first time all night." Tyler gestures wildly, knocking over a wine glass. Red liquid spreads across the white tablecloth like blood. Everyone in this room is thinking the same thing I'm saying. They're just too fake to say it out loud. We're waiting for a rich old woman to die so we can inherit her money. That's what succession planning means. That's what tonight is about. Richard moves quickly across the room. "Tyler, that's enough. You're embarrassing yourself." "I'm embarrassing you, you mean? Because God forbid anyone admit that the Whitmore family is just like every other family fighting over money. We're not special. Grandma's not special. She just happened to buy real estate at the right time, and now we're all standing around like trained dogs waiting for her to throw us a bone." Claire has joined them now, her face flushed with anger and humiliation. "Tyler Marcus Whitmore, you will apologize right now." "For what? For telling the truth? For saying what everyone's thinking? For disrespecting your grandmother, for disrespecting this family, for acting like a spoiled child who doesn't understand the value of anything." Tyler laughs, a harsh, bitter sound. "Oh, that's rich, Mom. You're lecturing me about respect? You're the one who spent the last 2 hours talking about Grandma like she's an obstacle to be overcome. You're the one who said we needed to manage her, handle her, get her to sign papers before she had time to think about it. Don't lecture me about respect when you don't have any yourself." The room has gone completely silent now. Everyone is watching this family melt down, this public revelation of private ugliness. Some people look shocked, others look uncomfortable. A few look grimly satisfied, the way people do when someone else's family drama makes them feel better about their own. And I'm standing there in my maid's uniform, with wine stains on my apron, watching my grandson destroy what's left of my family's dignity, and I'm thinking, good, let it all come out. Let everyone see exactly who they are. Richard grabs Tyler's arm. Outside, now. We're going to have a conversation. Tyler shakes him off. I'm not going anywhere. I'm tired of you trying to control everything, Dad. You're just like Grandma, always thinking you know better than everyone else, always thinking your way is the only way. My way has kept this family successful. My way has built on what your grandmother started and turned it into something even bigger. Your way has turned you into someone who doesn't care about anything except money and status. You used to have principles, Dad. You used to talk about helping people, about using our wealth to make a difference. Now all you talk about is development deals and profit margins and market positioning. There it is, the truth spoken by someone too drunk and too angry to maintain the polite fiction anymore. Richard did used to talk about helping people. When he first joined the business, he wanted to create affordable housing, wanted to use our resources to make a difference in people's lives. But somewhere along the way, Claire's influence, the pressure to keep up with her family's wealth, the temptation to chase bigger and bigger deals, it all changed him. Richard's face has gone very pale. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? Tell me, Dad, when was the last time you actually visited one of Grandma's properties? When was the last time you talked to any of the tenants, the actual people whose rent pays for your lifestyle? When was the last time you thought about anything other than how much money you could make? That's not fair, isn't it? Name one thing you've done in the last year that wasn't about money or status or impressing Mom's family. The silence that follows is damning. Richard can't answer, because Tyler's right. There is no answer. Claire steps in, her voice cold and controlled. Tyler, you're drunk and you're being cruel. Your father works incredibly hard for this family. Everything he does is to secure our future, to build on the legacy your grandmother created. You have no right to question his motives or his dedication. Legacy? Tyler spits out the word like it tastes bad. Everyone keeps talking about legacy like it means something noble. But legacy is just another word for inheritance. It's just money dressed up in pretty language to make us feel better about being greedy. I find myself moving closer, drawn by this spectacle of my family tearing itself apart. I should feel victorious. I should feel justified. This is exactly the kind of revelation I hoped for when I planned this evening. But instead, I feel something more complicated. Sadness, disappointment, and a strange kind of hope. Because if Tyler can see the truth even through his anger and alcohol, maybe he's not as lost as I feared. Dorothy is beside me suddenly. She leans in close and whispers, "Margaret?" I turn to look at her, and she's staring at me with sudden recognition. She's seen past the uniform, past the gray apron and the sensible shoes. She's seen her sister-in-law, the woman she's known for 40 years. "Dorothy," I whisper back, "please don't say anything. Not yet." Her eyes are wide with shock and understanding. "How long have you been here?" "Since the beginning. I've heard everything, seen everything." She looks at Tyler, at Richard, at Claire, and then back at me. "Oh, Margaret, I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve to see this." "Maybe I needed to see it." "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to give them one more chance to show me who they really are, and then I'm going to make some decisions about the future." Dorothy nods slowly. "I understand. And for what it's worth, I'm on your side. Whatever you decide." "Thank you. That means more than you know." Tyler is still ranting, his voice getting louder and more reckless. "You want to know what I really think? I think Grandma should sell everything, divide the money equally among everyone here, and let us all make our own choices about what to do with it. Stop trying to control us from beyond the grave with trusts and conditions and strings attached. Just give us the money and let us go." Richard's hand moves so fast I almost don't see it. The slap echoes across the silent room. Tyler stumbles backward, his hand to his face, shock replacing anger in his eyes. "How dare you?" Richard says, his voice shaking. "How dare you talk about your grandmother that way? She's not even dead, and you're already discussing how to divide up her estate like she's nothing more than a bank account." Tyler's eyes are filling with tears, but I can't tell if they're from pain, humiliation, or something else. "You're one to talk, Dad. You've spent the last 6 months trying to get her to sign over power of attorney so you could make decisions without her. Don't pretend you're any better than me. The words hang in the air like an accusation. Several people gasp. Others pull out their phones, probably texting friends about the drama they're witnessing. Richard looks around the room, seeing for the first time how many people are watching, how many witnesses there are to this family's complete breakdown. His face crumbles slightly, the mask finally slipping to reveal the desperation underneath. "This evening is over," he announces, his voice barely controlled. "I apologize to everyone for wasting your time. Clearly my mother isn't coming, and clearly this family has some private matters to resolve. Thank you for attending, and I hope you'll all forget what you've seen here tonight." But of course they won't forget. Scandals like this don't get forgotten. They get repeated, embellished, spread through social circles like wildfire. By tomorrow morning, everyone in their world will know that the Whitmore family fell apart at a dinner party, that the grandson called them all greedy, that the father slapped the son in front of witnesses. People begin gathering their things, making awkward exits, offering half-hearted condolences. Within 15 minutes, the ballroom is half empty. Tyler has disappeared, probably to the bathroom or outside, to nurse his humiliation and his cheek. Claire is near the entrance, apologizing to departing guests, trying to salvage some shred of dignity from the ruins of her carefully planned evening. Richard is sitting alone at a table, his head in his hands. He looks smaller somehow, diminished. For a moment, I see him as he was at 14, sitting at our kitchen table after his father died, crying because he didn't know how we were going to survive. I remember holding him, promising him that everything would be okay, that I would take care of him, that we would get through this together. We did get through it, but somewhere along the way, we lost each other. I should go to him. I should reveal myself now, in this moment of vulnerability, when maybe he'd be open to really hearing me. But I wait, because the story isn't over yet. There's one more act to play out. The restaurant manager approaches Richard. "Sir, I have Mrs. Whitmore on the phone. She says she'll be arriving shortly and asks that you please wait for her." Richard's head snaps up. "She's actually coming?" "Yes, sir. She should be here in about 10 minutes. I watch the emotions play across Richard's face. Relief, anxiety, fear. He doesn't know what's coming, doesn't know what I might have heard about tonight's disaster, doesn't know if I'm arriving as a loving mother ready to forgive or as a judge ready to pass sentence. He stands up, straightening his tie, trying to compose himself. "Claire! Claire, she's coming! My mother is finally coming!" Claire rushes over. "Now? After all this? Richard, half the guests have left. Tyler's disappeared. This whole evening has been a disaster. What are we supposed to do? We're going to pull ourselves together, and we're going to get through this. Go find Tyler. Make sure he's presentable. I'll try to keep the remaining guests here for a few more minutes." And then what? We still don't have a plan. We don't know what she's going to announce, whether she's made changes we don't know about. For all we know, she's about to cut us all off. Richard grabs her shoulders a little too tightly. "She's not going to cut us off. I'm her son. Tyler's her grandson. We're her family, her blood. Whatever else happens, she won't abandon us." But I hear the uncertainty in his voice. He's not sure anymore. Maybe for the first time in years, Richard isn't sure what his mother is going to do. The remaining guests have settled back into their seats, curiosity overcoming their desire to escape. Dorothy catches my eye from across the room and gives me a small nod. She knows what's coming. She knows I'm about to walk through that door and change everything. I slip out of the ballroom through the service entrance, moving quickly down the hallway toward the restaurant's private dressing room. I peel off the uniform, the apron stained with wine, the sensible shoes that pinch my feet. I pull my real clothes from the locker where I stored them earlier. A simple but elegant dress in deep blue, pearls that were my mother's, heels that add 2 inches to my height. I take down my hair from its severe bun and brush it out, letting it fall naturally around my shoulders. I put on lipstick, the good kind that Claire always wears. I look in the mirror and see Margaret Eleanor Whitmore looking back at me. Not a maid, not invisible, the woman who built an empire from nothing. In my purse, I have documents. Updated estate plans that my lawyer prepared last month. Financial statements showing exactly what I own and what it's worth. Evidence of the loan applications Richard submitted without my permission. Printouts of social media posts from Tyler showing his lifestyle, his waste, his carelessness with money he didn't earn. And a letter, handwritten, explaining my decisions and the reasons behind them. I take a deep breath. This is it. The moment everything changes. The moment I stop being the invisible woman they've stopped seeing and become the force they can't ignore. I walk through the restaurant, past surprised staff members who've been serving me all evening without knowing who I was. I reach the double doors of the ballroom. Through the glass, I can see Richard pacing, Claire chewing her lip anxiously, the remaining guests watching and waiting. I push open the doors and walk in. The room goes absolutely silent. Richard turns, and the expression on his face would be comical if this weren't so serious. Confusion, recognition, dawning horror. "Mom?" I walk further into the room, my heels clicking on the marble floor. Every eye is on me. I let them look, let them see me, this woman they've been waiting for all evening, this woman who was here all along. "Hello, Richard, Claire, everyone. I apologize for keeping you waiting." My voice is clear, strong, carrying across the room. Though, as it turns out, I've been here the whole time. Claire's face has gone white. "What do you mean?" I turn to look at her directly. "I mean, I've been here since 5:30 this evening. I've been serving your drinks, clearing your plates, listening to your conversations, wearing a uniform that made me invisible to all of you." Someone in the room gasps. Several people pull out their phones. Richard is staring at me like I'm a stranger. "I don't understand," he says weakly. "Don't you? I wanted to see who my family had become when you thought no one who mattered was watching. I wanted to know how you treated people you considered beneath you. People like the woman I used to be, before I built this business, before I accumulated this wealth you're all so eager to inherit." Tyler appears in the doorway behind me, drawn by the commotion. When he sees me, really sees me, his face goes through a transformation, confusion, recognition, and then pure horror, as he understands exactly what he did tonight. "Grandma?" His voice is small, broken. "You were the wine." "Oh, God." "Yes, Tyler. I was the woman you poured wine on. I was the maid you called invisible. I was the piece of furniture you told your friends should blend into the background." He's crying now, real tears running down his face. "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know it was you." "I know you didn't," I say, and my voice is gentler for him than it is for the others. "That's exactly the point. You didn't know it was me, so you felt free to be cruel. You treated a woman in a uniform like she wasn't human. And your parents laughed." I turn back to Richard and Claire. "You laughed. You applauded. You encouraged your son's cruelty because you thought the victim didn't matter, couldn't fight back, wouldn't remember or hold you accountable." Claire finds her voice. "Margaret, this is some kind of test? Some kind of trick? Call it what you want. I call it seeing the truth. I call it understanding who I've been working for all these years, who I've been building this legacy for." Richard steps forward, his hands outstretched. "Mom, please, let's talk about this privately. Let's not do this in front of everyone." "Why not? You were perfectly happy to discuss your plans for my estate in front of everyone. You were ready to pressure me into signing documents in front of this entire room. Turnabout is fair play, don't you think?" I reach into my purse and pull out the documents. "I've been working with my lawyer, the one you don't know about, making some changes to my succession plans. I thought you all deserved to hear them." The room is so quiet, I can hear people breathing. Dorothy is smiling slightly, a small, satisfied smile. Tyler is still in the doorway, looking like he might be sick. Richard and Claire are frozen, waiting for the axe to fall. "First," I say, my voice carrying to every corner of the room, "the proposal to sell my affordable housing properties to fund luxury development downtown is rejected. Those properties will remain in the family trust, managed with the specific purpose of providing quality housing at reasonable rents to working families. They will never be sold or converted while I'm alive, and after I'm gone, they'll be placed in a foundation dedicated to affordable housing." Richard's face crumbles. "Mom, that's not sustainable. The return on investment is perfectly adequate to fund their maintenance and provide steady income. Not every investment needs to maximize profit, Richard. Some investments are about providing value to the community, about remembering where we came from. Second," I continue, "the power of attorney documents that you prepared without my full knowledge or consent are void. I will not be signing over operational control of my business to anyone while I'm still mentally competent and physically capable of managing it. And I am both." Claire makes a small sound of distress. Richard just stares at me. "Third, I'm restructuring my estate plan to ensure that the family wealth is distributed in a way that honors the work and sacrifice that created it. This means conditions. Real conditions, not just token requirements. I look at Tyler, still standing in the doorway, tears still on his face. Tyler, you're 22 years old. You've never held a real job. You've never paid rent, never worried about making paychecks stretch until the end of the month, never understood what it's like to be invisible to people with more money and power than you have. Until you do understand those things, you're not ready to manage wealth responsibly. He opens his mouth to protest, then closes it again. He knows I'm right. So here are your conditions. You will get a job, a real job, earning your own paycheck, not a position at the family company where your last name gets you special treatment. A job where you have to prove yourself, where you can be fired if you don't perform. You'll work that job for 2 full years, living on only what you earn. No trust fund, no parental support beyond basic health insurance. You'll learn to budget, to save, to understand the value of a dollar earned through your own labor. That's not fair, Claire bursts out. You're punishing him for a mistake. For one bad night, I'm educating him, I correct. I'm giving him the chance to become the man he should have been raised to be. And if he completes those 2 years, if he shows genuine growth and understanding, then yes, he'll have access to a trust fund. A modest one, managed by independent trustees with disbursements tied to continued employment or education. He'll have enough to be comfortable, but he'll never have so much that he can stop working, stop growing, stop treating people with respect because he doesn't need them anymore. Tyler is looking at me now with something new in his eyes. Not anger, not resentment, something like hope, maybe, or relief. Like part of him is grateful that someone finally set boundaries, finally said, enough is enough. And if I refuse, he asks quietly. If I say I don't want to do it your way, then you're free to make your own path without my financial support. You're an adult. You can choose how you want to live. But if you want to be part of this family's legacy, if you want to benefit from the wealth that was built through hard work and sacrifice and treating people with dignity, then you'll need to show that you understand and respect those values. He nods slowly. I understand. And Grandma, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for tonight, for how I treated you. There's no excuse for it. No, there isn't, I agree. But there's a path forward if you want to take it. A hard path, but a real one. I turn back to Richard. As for you, you're my son and I love you, but you've lost your way. You've forgotten the lessons I tried to teach you about what really matters. So here's what's going to happen. You'll continue working in the family business, but with a new business partner who will have equal decision-making power. Richard's eyebrows shoot up. Who? Dorothy. Everyone turns to look at Dorothy, who's smiling now, no longer hiding it. She stands up and comes to join me. Dorothy has spent 30 years as an educator, I explain. She understands community, understands service, understands the value of helping people build better lives. She'll bring balance to your tendency to chase profit over purpose. Together, you might actually build something worth being proud of. Richard looks like he's been slapped. You're giving half my business to my sister? It's not your business yet, Richard. It's still mine. And yes, I'm bringing Dorothy in as an equal partner with you. You'll make decisions together, both while I'm alive and after I'm gone. If you can't work with her, if you can't accept that constraint, then I'll sell the business entirely and put the proceeds into the housing foundation. It's a bluff, sort of. I don't really want to sell the business I spent 40 years building, but Richard doesn't know that, and the threat is real enough to make him think twice about refusing. And Claire? My daughter-in-law is watching me with barely concealed fury. You'll no longer have any official role in family business decisions. You've proven tonight that your priorities and mine are fundamentally incompatible. You're welcome in this family as Richard's wife, as Tyler's mother, but not as someone who influences how our wealth is managed or distributed. You can't do this, Claire says, but her voice lacks conviction. She knows I can do exactly this. I can, and I am. These are my assets, built through my work. I get to decide how they're used and who gets to benefit from them. I look around the room at the remaining guests, these witnesses to my family's breakdown and my response to it. I want to be clear about something. Money doesn't make you better than anyone else. It doesn't give you the right to treat people as invisible, as less than human. I built wealth from nothing, and I did it while cleaning houses and washing other people's laundry. Every person who serves you, who cleans for you, who makes your comfortable life possible, deserves your respect. Not your contempt, not your pity, your respect. Someone in the back of the room starts clapping. Then another person joins in. Within seconds, half the room is applauding. Not everyone. Richard's business partners look uncomfortable. Claire's friends look scandalized, but enough people to make it clear that my message resonated. Tyler walks toward me slowly, like he's approaching something fragile. When he reaches me, he drops to his knees. "Grandma, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Please give me a chance to make this right." I look down at my grandson, this boy I held as a baby, this young man who's been raised with everything except the values that matter. And I make a choice. I reach down and put my hand on his head, the way I used to when he was small and needed comfort. "I forgive you, Tyler, and I'm giving you more than a chance. I'm giving you a path. It won't be easy. You'll struggle. You'll probably resent me at times. But if you walk it honestly, if you really try to understand what I'm offering you, you might become someone worth being proud of." He's sobbing now, really sobbing, his whole body shaking. I let him cry. Sometimes that's what people need, the release of grief for who they've been, the possibility of becoming someone better. Richard hasn't moved. He's standing very still, processing everything I've said, everything I've done. Finally, he speaks. "Did you hate us? Is that why you did this?" "No, Richard. I did this because I love you, because I needed to see the truth, and because I couldn't let this family continue down a path that would destroy everything I built and everything I tried to teach you. You have a choice now. You can accept the constraints I'm putting in place and work to rebuild your relationship with me and with your sister. Or you can walk away and build something on your own, without my money or my properties. Either way, you'll be making a conscious choice about who you want to be." He closes his eyes for a long moment. When he opens them again, they're wet with tears he's trying not to shed. "I don't want to walk away. I want to make this right. I just don't know if I can be the person you want me to be. I don't want you to be anyone other than yourself. I just want you to be the best version of yourself, the one who remembers that money is a tool, not a measure of worth, the one who treats people with dignity no matter what their job or their income or their status, the one I raised you to be before you forgot." Dorothy moves to Richard's side and takes his hand. "I'll help you, little brother. We'll figure this out together, like we used to, before life got complicated." And there it is. The first crack in the wall, the first possibility of healing. It's not a happy ending yet. It's barely even a beginning, but it's something. The restaurant manager approaches tentatively. "Mrs. Whitmore, should we serve the rest of dinner?" I look around the room, at the shocked faces, the avid expressions of people who can't wait to tell this story, the uncomfortable shifting of people who wish they'd left earlier, at Tyler, still kneeling beside me, at Richard and Dorothy, hands clasped like children, at Claire, fuming in the corner, but smart enough to stay silent, at this whole messy, imperfect, painfully human scene. "No," I say. "I think we're done here. But thank you for your hospitality, and please make sure the staff, especially the servers and kitchen workers, receive double their usual pay for tonight. They've earned it." I hand him a check I wrote earlier, more than enough to cover the bill and generous bonuses for everyone who worked tonight. His eyes widen when he sees the amount, but he nods and tucks it away professionally. People begin leaving in earnest now. The show over. They file past me, some offering congratulations, some looking embarrassed, some clearly eager to escape. Dorothy remains, and Richard, and Tyler, and eventually, reluctantly, Claire. We stand there, the five of us, in the ruins of the evening Richard planned so carefully. The evening that was supposed to give him control, but instead gave him constraints. The evening that was supposed to celebrate legacy, but instead exposed how fragile that legacy had become. "What happens now?" Tyler asks. He's standing again, wiping his face with a napkin, trying to compose himself. "Now," I say, "you start your new life. Monday morning, you begin looking for a real job. I have contacts who can help, who can make introductions, but the job has to be earned on your merits, not given as a favor to me. You'll move out of your parents' house into an apartment you can afford on your salary. You'll learn to cook, to clean, to budget, to live like most people in this world actually live. And if I fail, if I can't do it, then you fail. Failure is part of learning. But if you quit, if you don't even try, then you're choosing to walk away from this family and everything it could offer you. The choice is yours." He nods, and I see something new in his face. Determination, maybe, or fear, or both. Richard, I turned to my son. You and Dorothy will meet with my lawyer next week. You'll go over the new partnership agreement, the new structure for the business. You'll start learning to work together again, the way you did when you were young, and you'll stop making unilateral decisions without consulting anyone. Agreed? He swallows hard. Agreed. And Claire, my daughter-in-law finally meets my eyes. I know you're angry. I know you think I've been unfair, but you need to understand something. I'm not your enemy. I'm not trying to punish you. I'm trying to save this family from destroying itself through greed and arrogance and the belief that money makes you better than other people. If you can accept that, if you can work with these changes instead of against them, we can still have a relationship. But if you can't, if you try to undermine what I'm doing or turn Richard and Tyler against me, then you'll find yourself on the outside looking in. Do you understand? She's trembling with suppressed rage, but she nods. I understand. Good. I pick up my purse, suddenly exhausted. It's been a long evening, longer than any evening should be. I'm ready to go home to my own house, the one I bought with money I earned, sleep in my own bed, wake up tomorrow and figure out what comes next. Dorothy, would you mind giving me a ride home? Of course. As we walk toward the door, Tyler calls out behind me, Grandma, thank you for not giving up on me. I turn back to look at him, this young man with so much potential and so much still to learn. I'll never give up on you, Tyler, but I won't enable you either. There's a difference between love and indulgence, and it's time this family learned it. Outside, the air is cool and fresh after the overheated atmosphere of the ballroom. Dorothy and I walk to her car in silence. It's only when we're sitting in the dark interior, seatbelts fastened, that she speaks. That was the bravest thing I've ever seen anyone do. Or the craziest. Maybe both, but necessary. Richard was spiraling, Claire was pushing him further down that path, and Tyler was becoming someone truly awful. You stopped it. You drew a line. I hope I didn't draw it too late. It's never too late to choose differently, Margaret. You taught me that. We drive through the quiet streets, past houses where families are watching television, eating dinner, living normal lives that don't involve testing your relatives by disguising yourself as a maid. Past apartments where people are working second shifts, studying for degrees they hope will lead to better jobs, putting children to bed in homes they can barely afford. My tenants. The people Richard wanted to displace for luxury condos. The people Tyler never saw as fully human. The people I was, once upon a time, before I got lucky and worked hard and built something that lasted. What if they don't change? Dorothy asks. What if Richard keeps prioritizing money over people, and Tyler refuses to really try, and Claire keeps working against you? Then I'll have to make harder decisions, but I'm giving them this chance. This one, clear chance to choose who they want to be. After that, the consequences are on them. She pulls up in front of my house, a comfortable 2-story, in a neighborhood that's nice, but not ostentatious. A house that says successful, not wealthy. A house with a garden. I tend myself and neighbors I know by name. Do you want me to come in? Keep you company? No, thank you. I think I need to be alone tonight, to think about everything that happened. Okay, but call me if you need anything. And Margaret, I'm honored that you're bringing me into the business. I promise I'll work hard to honor your trust. I know you will. That's why I chose you. Inside my house, I kick off my heels and pour myself a glass of wine. Not the expensive stuff from tonight, just a simple red from the grocery store, the kind I've always preferred. I sit in my favorite chair by the window and look out at the quiet street. I think about my mother, who taught me that character matters more than money. About my husband, who died too young but who always treated everyone with respect. About the woman I was when I cleaned houses and did laundry and saved every penny for a future I could barely imagine. That woman would be proud of what I built. But would she be proud of what my family became? Would she think I did enough to pass on the right values along with the wealth? I don't know. I'll never know for sure. But tonight, at least, I tried. I drew a line. I said, this is who we are. This is what we value. And if you want to be part of this family, you have to honor those things. It's not a perfect solution. There are no perfect solutions when it comes to family and money and the complicated ways they tangle together. But it's a start. My phone buzzes. A text from Tyler. I'm sorry again. I'll make you proud. I promise. Another from Richard. We need to talk. Tomorrow? Please. And one from Dorothy. Sleep well, sister. Tomorrow we start building something better. I set the phone aside and finish my wine. Tomorrow will come with its own challenges, its own complications. But tonight, I can rest knowing that I saw the truth, faced it directly, and didn't back down from the hard choices it required. The house is quiet around me. Outside, a car pulls into a driveway. A dog barks in the distance. An ordinary night in an ordinary neighborhood for a woman who spent 40 years building something extraordinary from nothing at all. And somewhere in this city, a young woman named Anna is home with her daughter, probably helping with homework or making dinner, dreaming of nursing school and a better future. She doesn't know that the woman who covered her shift tonight, the one who told her to go take care of her little girl, is going to pay for that nursing program. That a scholarship is being set up in her name, funded by a foundation dedicated to helping working mothers get the education they need to build better lives. She doesn't know yet, but she will, because that's what wealth is really for. Not luxury condos or trust funds for kids who've never worked a day in their lives. Not status or power or the ability to treat other people as invisible. Wealth is for creating opportunities, for providing stability, for giving people the same chances I was given, the same ladder I climbed to get from cleaning houses to owning properties, to building a legacy. And if my family can't understand that, if they can't embrace that vision, then I'll find other ways to use what I've built, other people to benefit from it, other lives to change for the better, but I'm hoping they will understand. I'm hoping tonight was the wake-up call they needed, the shock that breaks through years of entitlement and forces them to see clearly. I'm hoping that Tyler will take this chance seriously, that Richard will rediscover the idealism he had when he was young, that even Claire might soften enough to see value in something other than status and accumulation. I'm hoping, but I'm not counting on it. Hope without accountability is just wishful thinking. And I've never built anything on wishful thinking. I built my life on hard work, clear-eyed assessment of reality, and the willingness to make difficult choices when necessary. Tonight was one of those difficult choices, and whatever comes next, at least I'll know I faced the truth instead of hiding from it. The wine is finished. The house is quiet. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new conversations, new tests of whether my family can rise to meet the standards I've set. But that's tomorrow. Tonight, I'm just Margaret, a 73-year-old woman who spent an evening wearing a maid's uniform to see if her family remembered where they came from. A woman who discovered they'd forgotten and who decided to teach them again. It's not the ending I would have chosen, but it's the one that's real, that's honest, that gives everyone a genuine chance to become better.